To order the Town of Holden Beach Board of Adjustments regular meeting today, November 18th at 3 o'clock. We'll be right on the notice. So we'll have the roll call, Megan.
Ann Arnold,
Here.
Mary Lou Lauren,
Here.
Richard Griffin, Phil Caldwell,
here.
Rick McIntyre,
Here.
Richard Roberts, David Yaroshevsky,
Here.
Thank you. Do I hear an approval, any discussion or approval, motion for the minutes for the last meeting?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
Did anybody have any corrections?
I'll second the motion to accept.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Then the minutes will stand as written for the meeting that we held on October 21st, 2024. Today we are hearing a case number 2-24. I'd like to swear in anybody who is planning to give any testimony today to this case. Tom, are you planning to speak?
Oh, I didn't know that was my case. I didn't know the number.
Okay, you're the only one we're hearing today. Okay. Somebody want to read this to them because I can't remember the words.
Where is it?
I don't get a copy.
We're going to copy the story.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I'm sorry. I
think that's the Perry Mason one, but okay.
Yeah.
That's very nice and first. I'm sorry.
All right. Case number, are y'all ready for testimony? You want something? You want to hear anything?
Oh, yes, of course we do.
Okay, case number 02-24, the request variance for the Holden Beach zoning code of ordinance, chapter 15, section 157.060D4 to encroach into the backyard setback, measure 20 feet from the bulkhead located at 159 High Point Street, Holden Beach, North Carolina. The staff stipulates to the 4 conditions. We find we have no reason to believe that this variance should not be issued. We stipulate to all 4 facts. So I don't know what else to say other than if you go down through them, he complies with all the provisions. He also, under number 3, did not create the hardship himself. And the variance is in harmony. If you go under 3B and C, there will be no harm to the lot for the public safety. So the town staff has reviewed it, and we stipulate to the facts and believe that this is probably a case where the variance should be issued or granted.
Thank you, Tim. Do you want to say something, Tom?
Yeah, no,
Does anybody have any questions? Is anything that won't clarify?
I just have a question, I guess. And I don't disagree. If you guys look at it in totality, that's the way it's probably going to go. What is the purpose of the 20-foot setback in theory anyway?
What is it in theory?
Yeah.
The 20-foot setback has several obligations in its criteria, one of which is stormwater runoff for sheet flow. One is to create a less dense activity on the property. It is to create separation, and it basically is a form of planning, to hold down density. And typically setbacks are usually determined if you've got a large subdivision and you can have a lot of stormwater, have it drink a lot of stormwater, then setbacks may be reduced. But I think our setbacks are a victim of the lot sizes depending upon our ability to handle that stormwater and the density in itself. When we allow 50-foot lots that are 100 foot deep, then we need to make sure that we don't have 100% coverage for structures.
Okay. And the second part of that question, again, doesn't question the decision, but it's a curiosity thing. We've got 5-foot setbacks on the sides
Right.
between properties. Have we examined this property in its totality to see
Yes,
if
we
there's
have.
room on the side or room to cut, eliminate part of the
Here's what-
decking or something like that?
Well, here's why staff came to this conclusion. Staff looked at the property and we determined and I also had a conversation with the property owner. We determined that the property was actually there prior to both our stormwater rules and possibly because of that, and maybe even prior to the setback regulations being set. And because of that, it's non-conforming now, and it makes it hard for the property to be used.
Okay.
The other thing is that when you're talking about setbacks, we've already made provisions in the past for the setback requirements in the fact that we give an exemption for egresses up to 10 foot in the front and the rear setbacks. You can have one, but not both. You can choose. And that exception that we give now is a product of years past and us recognizing that the restrictions on these small lots make it hard.
Yeah.
But the 5-foot setback should never be encroached on, because once you start putting structures inside a 5-foot setback, you're running into things that me and Carrie will not be able to help them get a variance for. In other words, your structure's now got to be built different by North Carolina law.
Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
I have one correction, I think. We are looking at a setback 20 feet from the recorded lot line, not the bulkhead. Am I not correct on that, Tim?
We measure our setbacks from the recorded lot line.
Right.
We measure the camera buffer from the bulkhead.
Okay. But this says 20 feet from the bulkhead. And
Yeah.
I was thinking we needed to say
It's from the
20
lot.
feet from the.
Yeah, it's from the lot line.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that that was
Now,
correct.
sometimes the bulkheads and the lot line are in the same place now.
And this is very close,
Yeah.
but not exactly. Okay. Do I hear any other comments, any other questions? Clarifications? We've got all 3 questions that the Board of Adjustments is required to meet, as Tim has already gone through those. So I wish to call the vote, I suppose.
And you gotta remember, you can, when you go to do a variance, because of the statutory rule, you can go at one, you can make a motion for each criteria or all of them at once.
Okay.
Usually you wanna do one one at a time, if you think they haven't met one of them, because if they don't meet it, you can't get a variance.
Okay, I'll ask questions for the board, and we'll do this verbally.
Okay.
All right, are there practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships in the way of carrying out the strict letter of this ordinance? The owner can secure no reasonable return from or make no reasonable use of this property. You cannot make full use of this property. I'll rephrase that a little bit. The hardship is a result from unique circumstances related to the applicant's land. The hardship suffered by the applicant is common with his neighbors, do not justify a variance. Also, unique personal or family hardships are irrelevant since a variance, if granted, runs with the land. The hardship is not a result of the applicant's own actions. Do I hear a vote on that?
What are we saying if we
This is
say that those are met?
met.
I
They are
think-
met.
Okay.
No problem with meeting all 3 of these A, B, C under 1. And then number 2, the variance is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the ordinance and preserves his spirit.
I think that's true.
That's fine. Everybody?
Agreed.
The granting of the variance secures the public safety and welfare and does substantial justice. Okay, there will be harm, the applicant will be harmed if we find against him. Do we agree? Everybody agree? Any objections to either of these three?
That's true.
All right, let's do the vote.
All right. Well,
Ms. Arnold, could someone make a motion for the vote before you vote?
so moved.
Oh, second.
All in
So
favor?
motion to vote for whether to accept or deny the variance on the three things that we just discussed. Yep. Four, right?
Yeah.
I can count.
We all have a voting ballot that says for or against, so we would choose for that ballot.
What was the case?
This case number is
0224.
0224. 0224.
there's 5 in favor.
There you go.
Back to our agenda if I can find it. Is there any old business left over from any of our meetings past? Hearing none, any new business, number 6?
Tim, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
You know, we've been up here several times over the last several years doing this, and you always say, it's okay, you've looked into it, and we all know the reasons that these houses weren't built with elevators. But you would know, I bet there's not a house that's over one story that's not built with an elevator.
There is.
How do we get the city to change that ordinance? If that could be up to
I'm
you.
getting ready to direct staff to go to the planning board, and we're gonna have an exception. CAMA has recently decided that elevators and cargo lift, or not elevators, cargo lifts and platform lifts are not developed. And they just decided that as an internal policy. If a year ago, they would consider it development. Now they no longer do. And since they are not going to consider it development, what I intend to do is go to the planning board and have them, because it's land usage, I have to take it there first. I'll most likely have to ask the board to agree to let me take it there, and I'll do it this coming up week. What we'll do is we'll get an ordinance in place that allow for exceptions either in the front or the rear, not both.
Yeah.
And just like we do the steps.
Do you not think that's a good idea to?
I think that since CAMA is no longer going to call it development, and because CAMA won't have a restriction to it, most of our, it would then fall upon us. We would be denying people something. You know, we couldn't really do anything before because it was a state rule that wouldn't allow them to be in some of those areas. But now there's no reason for us not to have an exception to the rule. There's just not anything in the way.
Can I read board members?
Absolutely.
Okay, ADF, title number 3, under ADF rules, require landlords to make rental space accessible for anyone with a disability. And we rent houses and they don't have elevators. That's a rental space. They should not be able to rent it by the law. I broke up a big bag of worms. I'm getting out of here.
I don't have all the lot numbers.
No, you haven't because
Huh?
no, you haven't because there are how many occupancies are there? Carrie, come on. There used to be 26 occupancies.
Like 27.
Yeah, it used to be back in my day. It was 26 occupancy. It was like 9 major categories, subcategories. You end up with 26 occupancies. And the way it works in North Carolina is that if you're building apartments and that kind of thing, then you're working out of the commercial code, and then you would be required to have ADA. If we were renting houses here for less than what we rent them for, then those houses would then not fall under the category of residential. When a house falls under the category of residential, then it only has to comply with the residential code. Whenever you rent a house for a week or 2 weeks, a regular residential house for a half a week or 2 weeks, the owner is actually the renter. They actually own that house. Anybody that's been in the rental business understands that. We require at least 3 nights. If it's less than 3 nights, then no structure on this beach could be built the way it's built, because it would have to be built under the building code to accommodate what? Transient occupancy. That is the difference. The difference is if you're renting for transient occupancy, you have to have ADA access.
What I read, this was a new rule that's just been passed.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware of it.
So I didn't know everybody knew that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Any other business? Do I hear a motion? That we adjourn?
I move that we adjourn. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we will be adjourned.